Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chapter 1 and Beyond. And today's episode is going to be a hodgepodge of things. But it seems like lately my episodes have been like that. So I apologize. But hey, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Christina. I am your host for Chapter 1 and Beyond. We talk about all the bookish things and um, me trying to tackle this massive physical TBR that I have. I think that's like generally the consensus for everything. But if you are returning, thank you so much for your support. I have been receiving quite a few notifications about new followers and likes and comments on multitude of platforms. I didn't realize when I had started doing Spotify for creators for this podcast, I didn't realize that it's spread across like more than just YouTube. So it's been really great. So I really appreciate your guys' support. Um, but yeah, so today I wanted to talk about HRCYED 2.0. So originally I had started to give up on it, and I have to admit, guys, I am very proud of myself. I hit 2 bingos on the bingo board. Shocker. um, I know for a fact, like looking at everything and the time that I have left with HRCYED 2.0, I know for a fact I'm not going to black out the board. So sadly, I did potentially fail HRCYED 2.0. But I am very proud of myself because I actually filled 2 full lines of prompts, and I want to talk about that. um, so yeah, so let's just like dive into today's episode. I sure hope you guys are doing well. I'm surviving at this point because work has been hectic and Girl Scout cookie season. If you know, you know. It's so crazy busy, and it's just been nuts. I know that there was this one little Girl Scout out of Pennsylvania that went viral for selling 105 or 107,000 boxes of Girl Scout cookies, and there's a lot of discussions within Girl Scouts happening right now because of that little girl. Um, so yeah, but we're gonna keep this bookish content. I'm not gonna rant about Girl Scouts because I could shamelessly plug my Girl Scout troops, Girl Scout cookie link, but I'm not gonna do that because I have very strong feelings about everything that's currently happening right now. But yeah, so HRCYED 2.0. So if you have not heard about HRCYED 2.0 by now, based off of maybe just starting my podcast from this episode, you may want to back up a little bit because HRCYED 2.0, for those that don't know, I'm just going to do this very briefly because everyone that has visited my podcast already knows what HRCYED 2.0 is. But it is the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, round two. And it was created by a booktuber, Cordy, who has been putting together this challenge, and she takes submissions, and it's a very involved process and operation, if you will. But essentially it is a bingo board with these prompts, and these prompts are not easy prompts to fulfill because each prompt could have up to maybe 10 to 12 books to fulfill in one prompt. And it's very specific to specific things. So, and I'll go over the ones that I was able to fulfill because I've been doing this challenge since last July, June, July. Yeah, last July, July 2025. Wow. We're already on February 19th, 2026. My brain is just anyways. So I've been working on it, inadvertently working on it like for a while. Like in January, I felt like I had hit a wall because I just was so sick of, kind of trying to fulfill prompts and trying to plan things out. I just was getting really burnt out with it, I guess I could say. But recently, I have found that some of the newer books that I've been reading off of my TBR have been able to fulfill these prompts. And I didn't realize that until I started really looking at it. Because, like, I had one day where I was like, yeah, I'm just curious on where I'm at. And I didn't realize how many of the books that I did have that I had been reading were able to fulfill those prompts. So let's talk about the first line that I filled. I'll just go like kind of down the list, and then I'll talk about the books, like list off the books that were able to fulfill that. So I did fulfill the BIPOC challenge prompt. I fulfilled the complete any readathon prompt. I fulfilled the even bigger rainbow prompt, the disability rep challenge, and the award season rep, the award season prompt. So within the award season prompt, I had read Ninth House by Lee Bardugo, The Women by Kristen Hanna, Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, Orbital by Samantha Harvey, Ruin and Rising by Lee Bardugo, and Red City by Marie Lu. I ended up picking the Goodreads Choice Awards because it just seemed like the most sense. That particular award has been around for a while, so I was able to pick like winners and entrants and finalists and semifinalists from any year within that award. So I stuck with the same award. Technically, you could like pull from other awards like the Booker Prize Award or the Best Indie Book Award, things like that. But I kept it simple and straightforward, and I just pulled from the various years. I did not note which year these were pulled from, so I do apologize. I cannot provide that to you, but just trust that I did do my due diligence and research, even cross checked it with ChatGPT, um, because I just wanted to make sure I had that filled. So, and I ended up with like three entrants, one semifinalist, one finalist, and then two winners for my picks for each of these books. So, because like the way that you had to fulfill this prompt was you had to have at least one from each of those categories in order to fulfill the prompt. So I did fulfill that prompt because of that. When it came to the disability rep challenge, I had read We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, We Are Satellites by Sarah Pinsker, The Circus Train by Amita Parik. I apologize if I like mispronounced that last name, but I also read Wonder by RJ Palaccio. So the disability challenge was that you had to fulfill different disabilities that were represented throughout the book. So with the Shirley Jackson book, that was more schizophrenic psychosis, so mental health. Charles Dickens was more of like degenerative disease, you know, let's see. And then Sarah Pinsker had highlighted in her We Are Satellites epilepsy. The circus train was polio paralysis. So that was featured with the girl in the wheelchair, um, which is, you know, one of the many disabilities that were highlighted in that book. And then, oh my gosh, I'm gonna try not to botch this disability up, but it's mandibulo facial dis dysosis, I think is the ending of it. I apologize for laughing. I just cannot pronounce some of these like disabilities. But Wonder was like probably by far my favorite out of all of these books. I mean, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, totally a classic and always my reread for every year, but and then I was really taken by surprise with the rest of them too. Like We Have Always Lived in the Castle, I've heard amazing things about, but I never got around to it. Um, and I was very like shocked on how much I love that book. The circus train was so emotional, but it was so good. It was like a very raw like book, and definitely recommend checking it out on audiobook because that's how I ended up. I did a combo of reading on audiobook book versus like reading physically. And then We Are Satellites. I was a bit nervous about this one, but it actually was pretty good. It was interesting because like I work in the tech field and I am a software engineer, so I know like how like things trend with like society when it comes to tech. So it was very interesting like that aspect of it, but then also highlighting those with like disabilities getting left behind because of the tech trends. So it was a very interesting book and I definitely recommend it. Definitely like if you're looking for something different when it comes to sci-fi, that is definitely your book. Okay, so the Even Bigger Rainbow. This one I feel like I fulfilled this a while ago because a lot of these books I read in 2025. So I'm just gonna kind of go down the list. So for Red, I had fulfilled Carrie by Stephen King. My orange pick was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling. The yellow prompt for this even bigger rainbow challenge was the Hazelwood by Melissa Alberts. Green, I had picked Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. For teal, I had picked When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. For my light blue, I had fulfilled that one with A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. My blue, like my darker blue, bluish color prompt, I had fulfilled that with Heaven Breaker by Sarah Wolf. My purple was definitely Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. My pink was How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. The black prompt was fulfilled by Dearest by Jackie Walters. The white prompt was fulfilled by The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. My silver gold was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. And then the seven colors that had to be in the cover, I fulfilled that with Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry. So yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like it's been a bit since I've read a lot of these books, but the like a lot of them do still very much stand out for me. Carrie by Stephen King, absolutely amazing. I love that. I actually had seen the movie before reading the book, and honestly, I would say the movie and the book were like very much like even Steven for me, but I really did enjoy the book. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, I was shocked on liking this one because I've heard so many horrible things about, you know, like the feedback, but I mainly focused on like the new trio that occurred within this book, and I actually enjoyed it. I really did. Um, it was definitely a breath of fresh air. It definitely wasn't the typical Harry and the typical Hermione that we got from the original series, but I'm gonna be honest, I was intrigued by the edge taken with this particular one. Um, when the Moon Hatched, I was shocked by this one because this one was a very viral, like very hyped up book, and I thought it was gonna fall short, but I really enjoyed it. Um, I definitely loved Heaven Breaker. I know I've been ranting and raving about this one on my channel and podcast, and I just cannot get over how amazing that it happened with like the synchronous symphony that happened between sci-fi and fantasy with this one because it was just pure perfection. I cannot tell you how much you need to pick this one up if you love mechs, if you love sci-fi, if you love fantasy, if you love like a good old like politics type, you know, fight and revenge story. I definitely recommend that one. And shocking, I am not a romance girly, but Enchantra definitely pulled me in. I think between those two books, Phantasma and Enchantra, I still very much enjoyed Phantasma more. But I definitely enjoyed Enchantra too. Like there was just something about it that just like it was. it was still about the same, but it was like it gave me a different feeling like going into it. There wasn't so much like crazy spice going on, so it was nice that wasn't part of like the full centered, you know, thing of the book. So, and that's what I appreciate about this series is because you get a lot of those romance, fantasy, romance type genre books, and they just like blast a bunch of spice in there, and it's like, I might as, I hate to say it, but I might as well be watching porn if I'm, if I, I don't know. Like it's just, I have like mixed feelings about the romantasy series, type books and the genre in general because, it just feels like it's just a lot of like random spice that there's really nothing to like some of these books. So maybe someone can prove me wrong. I don't know, but like Enchantra and Phantasma, they're ranked and categorized as romantasy, but I don't know. I don't really see it as like, the typical that I've been running into and people have been talking about, but and then finally, the other one that stands out really well is The Once and Future Witches by Alexia Harrow. I had read her Starling House book and I was blown away by that book. And I was like, I need more. And The Once and Future Witches was just absolutely incredible. If you have not picked that one up yet, you need to, because it's just absolutely amazing. So, and that's all I'm going to say about it. So, you just need to pick it up. Not knowing going in, I went in completely blind, and I'm so glad I did because it was perfection. Okay, so the books that I read to fulfill the readathon, complete any readathon challenge. So I had picked the Summer Ween readathon, and I believe the Summer Ween readathon is from Gabby Reads. That's the channel. Definitely check her out because she's got some like actually really great picks when it comes to thrillers and horror and stuff. I definitely love when she does this readathon every year because it really got me to like kind of like pick up more of the horror and the dark like thriller and things like that. So for the prompt, the first prompt, it is read a book in the dark or at night. I read The Grip of It by Jack Jemick. That one was pretty good. That one creeped me out quite a bit. If you listen to it on audiobook in the dark too and read along with it, it definitely gives you that creep factor even further. Read a horror or thriller book. I read Pet Cemetery by Stephen King. I don't know what I could say about this book. This was like my very first Stephen King book, and I really regret that it was my first Stephen King because this book gave me nightmares. Um, I'm kind of a scaredy cat, but honestly, this book was just, it was so dark, and like being a parent and reading this, it was just, I was sobbing and then I was like terrified. So I just, there was just so many different things, and this book has like stayed with me because of that experience. And yeah, I still definitely recommend checking it out, but just go in knowing that there's trigger warnings. There's a lot of trigger warnings and it's very dark. Just go in knowing that, okay? So just take care of you, but still worth it. Um, Read a book with a sky on the cover. So the only book that I could think of at the time was Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. Oh my gosh, what an enchanting book. Like I love this book. I definitely recommend it. I had seen the movie by Ghibli Studios, and I'm so mad that I have not read the rest of the series yet. I need to pick it up, but I don't physically own it, so that's why I've been kind of like moving away from the series for right now, but that one definitely is a standout for me. The next prompt so there's two more prompts. I promise like this is gonna go much quicker now. Read a book you've owned for more than a year. Tiny Pretty Things by Sona Charapotra and Donell Clayton is the authors of that one. I read it and then I got rid of it because I just it's a dance company drama. That's what it felt like. It felt like, if Mean Girls or I don't know. I don't know how to describe it because it was just like Center Stage. You know that movie Center Stage that they had back in like the 2000s where they had these girls that were competing for the principal spot. That's what it felt like. Tiny Pretty Things was more of like, hey, we're teenagers and we're trying to compete for this spot and then we're just going to cause all kinds of drama. Like it was just like a typical like Center Stage movie. That's what it felt like. And then read a novella, manga, or listen to a spooky audiobook. I ended up listening to this audiobook. It is called Cackle by Rachel Harrison. Absolutely freaking fantastic. I loved this book. Normally I am not into women's literature type categorized, and that's what this was categorized as. And honestly, it was so good. It was amazing. I love the audiobook. Like the little spider. Oh my god, it's so freaking cute. But yeah, just it was cozy in some parts, but then it like kind of built up and I appreciated it. I liked it. So, I wish I could find more of those kinds of books, but I haven't been able to find anything that even matches close to that. Okay, so and then the last prompt, pick BIPOC. Oh wow, I cannot talk today. BIPOC challenge. Okay, BIPOC challenge. So this is any author that is not related to your um ethnicity, I guess. I don't know. Um I am as Caucasian as it gets, and I have been very interested in reading, Latina X and Indigenous American. I've been very much into reading authors that support BIPOC backgrounds and such. So this particular prompt was very easy for me to fulfill, but it did take me a little bit because if I'm counting correctly, I think there's 12 books in this one. Hang on one second. Nope, clearly I can't count. It is actually 10 books that needed to fulfill this prompt. So, as long as it did not fulfill like my Hungarian white American type author, I could read it. So, for my first one was Chinese American. Miss Marie Lu with her wild card book, absolutely incredible. I love Marie Lu. The next pick was a Kuwait American. It had me specify what their background is. So I apologize if this is sounding weird by specifying this, but this is what this challenge had me do was select, set, hey, this is this person's background. But The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah, that was the next one I had fulfilled for the Kuwait American. My next one was Indigenous American, and that was The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angelina Bolie. I love that there was a lot of representation of Michigan in there. I was born and raised in Michigan, so I thought that was pretty cool. The next one was Latina AX by so the book is called Myra by Nikki Gonzalez. I was not really a fan of this book. It was kind of weird. And it really wasn't suspenseful at all. Um, but I got it done. So yeah, I got that. Hispanic Latina X is the next one that I also fulfilled, and this was Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. I have read quite a few from Elizabeth Acevedo, and I would say that Clap when Where You Land, it has got to be still my favorite. Family Lore was good, but it was just like a lot of family dynamics, and it was like I felt like some of it kind of dragged a little bit, at least for me, but I still enjoyed it. Um, but yeah, The next book that I have fulfilled, I'm just kind of gonna I think I'm gonna change how I'm like reading this because it is getting kind of strange, like specifying their authenticity and then the title. So let's just talk about the books and then I'll mention the authenticity, ethnicity afterwards. Sorry if my speech is not very great today. The Burning God by R.F. Kuang, Chinese American. Things We Lost to the Water by Eric Jian, Nguyen. Uh, he's Vietnamese, so apologies if I botched up that last name. The next one is Legendborn by Tracy Dion, African American. Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, Chinese American. A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow, African American. So I was pleasantly surprised by all of those titles because I just enjoyed every single one of them in their own special way. Things We Lost to the Water was absolutely like devastating. Like I was very emotional when reading that book. It was very powerful, amazing, impactful book. Legendborn. I don't know why I have not picked that book up sooner. That entry to that series was absolutely incredible. Like I loved the audiobook and I was glad that I'm very very happy that I physically own that book because I'm going to go out and buy the third one because the series is so good. Like if you want something with like a different kind of like, you know, magic system and like the dynamics between the characters, oh so flipping good. I would say it's on par with Marie Lu's Red City series. Like I feel like those can go like really head to head with each other. Like they both were so very different than most of the fantasy series that you've been finding out there, and well, at least from what I've been finding out there. And I really much enjoyed this book. Like I gave that a solid 5 stars because I just could not put it down and I had to finish it. And the audiobook alone was like 19 hours. But when, you know, you're listening it to 2x speed, I couldn't put it down. So definitely recommend that one. Dragon Republic, The Burning God, and The Poppy War. I really wish this would have been my first pick when it came to R.F. Kuang. Absolutely incredible series, start to finish. I could not wait to get to that next installment because normally what I do with series, I make sure that all the books are released. I make sure I grab all the books and then I go through, at least from what I used to do, I will go through and read them. But and then I'll take breaks in between and kind of mix it up. But this time I just could not wait to put the next one in queue. So I ended up reading these like all three in a row. So, um, but yeah, and then A Song Below Water. I had originally like put this one down and didn't finish it, but then I picked it back up and gave it a second chance, and I'm glad I did because it like had really cool um it was very interesting on how this one was put together because it kind of had like the Black Lives Matter movement kind of mixed in with like mermaids and sirens and things like that. It was very interesting and I really appreciated the story behind it because it was like it was different. It wasn't just like so packed full in your face like, hey, this movement matters. No, it was very like much incorporated into how this like kind of affects the characters, and it was just really great. It was very very well written. um I mean, I did end up donating it to a free little library just because I feel like this story needs to be kind of spread to others, and I just know that by sharing that book with the free little libraries in Northeast Ohio, that I'm doing a service to the movement with getting the word out, and supporting African American authors as well. So I'm very much like when it comes to like the prompts within this challenge, I am very appreciative because it really busted me out of my comfort zone of um what I would typically read. So it really challenged me to look at other authors, and I found some new favorites, to be quite honest with you. Okay, so I had mentioned at the beginning of this that I fulfilled two lines, not just one. So the second line that I fulfilled, and I'm not going to repeat the BIPOC challenge, but the other line that I had filled of prompts was Become the Avatar, BIPOC challenge, Translation challenge, TBR game challenge, and By the Hundreds. So the books that I had read for By the Hundreds was 100 pages or less. No, actually, I'm sorry. It was 100 to 199 pages that I would have to read. That's right. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. That fulfilled that prompt. My 200 prompt was Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Yes, I read the workings of William Shakespeare. um, and then Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong, that fulfilled my 300 prompt. The 400 prompt was In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. My 500 prompt, which was 500 to 599 pages in total, was Sky Without Stars by Jessica Brody. My 600 page pick was When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. And then my 700 page pick was The Stand by Stephen King. So yeah. Then my TBR game challenge, I had several prompts to fulfill with this. I played the Wheel of TBR, which the prompts are under 200 pages, most recent purchase, random pick, book of representation, whether it's pride, mental illness, or BIPOC, 5-star prediction, graphic novel, series, continuation or start a series, second chance book I originally DNF but need to give it a second chance, TBR jar pick, new author, TBR veteran that has been on there the longest, and classics. So of those prompts, I'll just go right in order from what I mentioned. I did The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adam, Pet Cemetery by Stephen King, Dearest by Jackie Walters, Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, Lore Olympus Volume 2. I did A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. I did Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by Part 1 and Part 2 by J.K. Rowling. Tales from the Hinterland by Melissa Albert. Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. And The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. That's what fulfilled that prompt. My translation challenge. This one is actually a recent one I had just finished. So translated from Spanish to English was Wonder by R.J. Palaccio. My Korean translated to English pick was The Vegetarian by Han Kang. Sorry. Mm. Um, my Japanese translation to English was Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Wow, I actually said that correctly without fumbling. Yay! And then my German to English pick was Reckless by Cornelia Funk. And then my French to English translated pick was The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, I think is the name. I probably botched that. All right. So the next prompt, Becoming the Avatar. So this one was just 4 books, which was easy. This one actually got fulfilled pretty fast. Because it's either it has to have an element of water, earth, fire, or air in like the cover image or in the title, the word in the title. So, I had fulfilled Water with Beautiful Ugly by Alice Feeney. Earth, I had fulfilled with A House Between Earth and Moon by Rebecca Sherm. Fire, I had fulfilled Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Bully, and then air, literally I had to get very creative with this one, but Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I ended up using the cover images to fulfill this prompt because like some of them had the word in it, but then atmosphere was not air, but you get the drift, atmosphere, air, yeah. And then Beautiful Ugly obviously didn't have the word water in it, but it had elements of water on the cover. So, and then I've already told you all about my BIPOC challenge picks. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. When it comes to doing another, um, I'm very close to two more lines, or well, actually three more lines for another bingo. Um, Sadly, the one that's going to make me not get a bingo is the extended new release challenge. I've been failing epically on trying to get those new releases read within the 60 days before or after. Um, so yeah, and I haven't really been finding too many books that I'm very, very interested in to read like right right now. So so yeah, I would say like my challenge to like just pick off of my physical TBR has really been making this an absolute like nightmare challenge for me because I just can't see myself going to a library like unless it's like via the audiobooks or physically reading something that's not on my shelf right now. It just doesn't make the most sense to me. So that is what is causing me to, horribly fail at HRCYED 2.0 at this point. But I'm going to be honest, I have really appreciated this journey with HRCYED 2.0. It's been a lot of work. I definitely would say this is like not a challenge for the faint of heart, just because of the fact that there's just so much planning that goes into this challenge. And since it's supposed to be fun and just give you more adventure into, reading, I do appreciate like a lot of these prompts. Which I thought about just making my own damn bingo board and putting the ones that, I really feel like it challenged me, but it also gave me like kind of a variety, if you will. So, um, but yeah, so I mean, as far as like Herkyad, I would say we don't have too much more content coming up because if there is a 3.0, I don't think I'm going to participate. The only reason why I say that is because it's just been a lot of work, and I don't really have. Um, I feel like I'm not doing myself due diligence if I don't have the time to commit to planning and actually reading. I definitely would say that I've read about 80 some of the 104 total books that I did have planned for this. So, I mean, I would say that's pretty good. It's a heck of a lot more books than I've ever physically read or listened to or whatever. So, I don't know. But I mean, I would say, like, if you are looking for something that is very challenging that will ramp up your reading like goals and all that, I would say that Herkyed 1.0 might be good to check out. I never did Herkyed 1.0. But I heard like 2.0 kind of revamped a lot of the nuances that occurred within 1.0, and that's why 2.0 happened. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate Cordy and all the moderators and everybody that has been involved with this because it's been a ride. So, and you know, it's helped me tremendously with getting some of these physical books off of my shelf and read. And I mean, I'm looking at my shelf right now and it's starting to get really skim over here. So I may actually very well be down to one shelf by the time I get to 2027, which is crazy to think of because originally I started with like 3.5 bookshelves full, and each bookshelf was like 5 shelves, and each shelf like houses about 30 or some books. I mean, a lot of books. So, I mean, I'm very thankful for this podcast because it has really lit a fire into what I like and what I don't like, and what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And you guys are amazing for supporting my little project here. So, um, I mean, we could talk about future of this podcast once I get through this physical TBR. So, but yeah, thanks guys for listening today. Please like, subscribe, and continue to share my podcast. It helps tremendously being able to reach out to others that are just as like minded as all of you amazing listeners. So thank you, thank you. It really gives me a creative outlet to keep making content. And I mean, regardless if anybody never listened at all, like I still would be doing this. So, because this is just so much fun. Um, and I don't get a lot of fun these days anymore. So, um, so yeah. But I hope you guys stay warm, stay safe, take care, stay hydrated, do all the things, and I will catch you guys on the next episode. All right, bye.